Hi there, Machedo. Sweeney from Machedo.com. Who is Machedo and Think Personal Branding? Date is 28 June 2018. Time right now is 11:42. I got this question from one of my clients, which we discussed yesterday. He was a paid client. So he asked me, how can I overcome fear? And apparently his fear was talking to girls. He couldn't speak to girls. And his second fear was also speaking in front of a crowd, like when they would have their meetings in the office and people would be sitting around the table. Whenever the boss would ask, so does anyone have any ideas? Most of his colleagues would stand up or raise their hand and express their doubts, but he was never able to do this, and because of which the boss thought he was not very smart and he lost a lot of opportunities that way. So this is the question he asked me. Now, why do we have fear? We have fear because we believe we are going to get hurt or something bad is going to happen. Let's say, for example, in the case of talking to the members of the opposite sex, we fear rejection. And when it comes to speaking in public, we have the fear of ridicule, making a fool of ourselves, wondering what people will think. It's pretty real, because even though the fear is mental or emotional, it manifests itself physically. So your heartbeat goes up, you begin to wonder, what will people say? What if you say something wrong? Everyone's watching. Fear can also manifest itself indirectly when you're an employee and you're thinking of leaving the job, or you're afraid if you lose your job, what will happen next. And sometimes when people get terminated from their job, they end up crying. These are all manifestations of fear, and these are very real. In my case, I had the fear of girls because I was born and raised in a conservative South Indian family. I was never allowed to talk to members of the opposite sex. The only girls I could talk to were my mom, my aunt, my cousin sister. That's it. So when I'd see any girl apart from my family, I'd get very nervous. And if a girl would not even look at me or talk to me, or she would ignore me, I would feel like shit, I'm finished. My sense of self-worth would be destroyed. I also had fear that people would reject me, and this fear was really big because it stayed with me for many years. What would people think? What would friends say? What if friends don't accept me? So I would try to fit in. Peer pressure was really big. I also had fear of, being rejected by sales. Let's say work. I go to a customer. What if the customer says no? And that kind of paralyzed me because I was never able to meet customers. I also, the last 2 fears that I had, one was the fear of snakes, creepy crawlies, which I still am slightly afraid. And the fear of if I were to not have a job, or if there was no money, what would I do? So I'll tell you how did I overcome all these fears. With regards to, in my career, I was very afraid of sales, because if I'd go to a customer would say no. That would really destroy my sense of self-worth. So I remember my insurance sales manager, where I worked as a part-time. Initially, when I tried to sell insurance, I was able to sell quite a number of them because it was all to known friends, relatives, and people that were close to me. For a 16-year-old boy, that was easy. However, once I ran out of contacts and I moved into the real world, it proved to be very hard. I was not able to sell at all. And I was very afraid that someone would reject me. And yeah, my numbers were literally zero from being the highest week after week. It was just zero week after week. So one day the insurance sales manager called me in and said, so why is your sales not happening? What's happening? So I told him this. I'm afraid of failure. No, sorry, I didn't tell him I was afraid of failure. I told him that, nobody's saying yes. And I gave him all the reasons. I think maybe because he had the wisdom of the ages, he said, it must feel really bad when someone says no. I said, yeah, it does feel bad. when you go to a customer and say, no, I'm not interested. So he laughed and he told me how he failed when he was young, and he kind of related to me. And then he said, I want you to do something. I don't want you to go and get customers. I want you to go and get 100 rejections. I was like, what? He said, go to a customer, make sure that the customer shuts the door on your face. Make sure that the customer says no to you. Make sure that the customer says, I'm not interested, or no, no thanks. And he said, for every 100 customers that you get, I will give you, 100 of that was Dubai currency, 100 dirhams. So I was like, oh, that's easy. I just have to go to 100 random people, they'll say no. So what I did is, I started going to each and every person that I met. I just kept going to them and saying, would you be interested? They said no. I'm from this company, would you be interested? No. No thanks. Then I was going to door. People were shutting their doors on my face. And actually, the funny thing was, the process became enjoyable because I was actually looking forward for the no. I was actually looking forward for rejection. But as that started to take place, people looking at my enthusiasm, people looking at my attitude, people looking at, the bubbly, chirpy guy who was coming up to them and getting a no and still smiling, people started to talk to me and they started to interact. And I was like, and they asked me like, why are you so happy? I said, no, it's just, I was trying to sell, you said no. So I felt that, I achieved something. And they were pretty confused about it. And obviously we started to talk, and then I would tell them the truth. And then they would laugh and say, you're a smart kid. And from there, the friendship started. They started liking me. In fact, some of them even recommended someone else who I could go to. When I went back to my sales manager after a couple of customers, like I think 300 or 400 rejections, he said, now how do you feel when someone says no? I said, no, it's fun, it's fine. In fact, my sales started to improve. It was pretty funny. It started not drastically, but I started to get customers. And that is where he put down the lesson. And he told me that aim for failure, aim for rejection. Don't aim for the best, aim for the worst. And then anything better happens than that, you'd succeed. And I used that principle of rejection. I used that principle of getting the door slammed on my face, or people saying no, of, people brushing me aside. I used it in my life, whether it was girls, like I would talk to, my goal was to talk to 100 girls. Whoever would say no, that was a bonus. And funny thing is, as a girl said, no, finally one girl would show interest. I use that in sales, I use that in every area of my life. And the funny thing is, I actually improved. Even where public speaking was concerned, I didn't aim for being the best speaker. I aimed for volume. So, like I remember once when there was this, it's called table topics, which is extempore, standing up and speaking. The first time I stood up to speak, I was literally shivering. I was shivering so badly that I think I nearly fainted, and I went back to my seat shivering. And it happened the second time, third time. Finally, I got so angry. I said, I'm going to do whatever it takes to overcome this. And I'm going to target 100 failures. 100 times I'm going to go up on stage and just freeze. But I'll make sure that I stand up on stage, even if I don't say a word, even if I shiver. So I went with that attitude, being pissed off. So I would go there, stand there. They would give me the topic, like, speak extemporaneously. Just, speak on the spot. Like they would say, what do you think about, achieving your ideal job? So those days, I didn't know what to say. So I just stand there and I just say that, I'm standing here. I don't know what to say, but I'm determined to stand here. So I would just keep rambling, but I would tell them exactly what I was feeling. And the funny thing happened was, as I started to tell people what I felt, the frustration, the anger, the fact that I wasn't able to speak, people started applauding me. People started, yeah, that's good. And over the period of time, I got used to it. I became better and better. the same thing happened even for my job loss. The first time I lost my job, I was terminated. I wept, I cried, I thought I was going to die. And in Dubai, in the Middle East, if you lose your job, you lose your visa. And I was depressed for, I would say, weeks. Funny thing is, as I progressed through life, as I'd keep having jobs, I'd keep losing them. It reached a point where I got so used to losing jobs, it actually became like an adventure. Lose my job, I'd apply for a new one. I lose my job, I'd apply for a new one. And I remember very soon I started resigning from the job. If they would say anything that would, I feel that would raise a red flag, I tell them, not interested. And that is where I think I nearly changed 36 jobs in a year or more than that. Just joined, worked 2-3 days, didn't feel I liked it, changed. So the point I'm trying to say is, if you want to overcome your fears, don't run and hide from it. You want to face your fears, whatever it is. Whether it's a girl, talking to girls. If it's talking to girls, give yourself a deadline that you'll speak to 100 girls in 5 days. Just talk to them, just say, hi, how are you? And let them say, whatever, just say good morning, whatever. Take baby steps. And from baby steps say, hi, what is the time? Then ask them, excuse me, which is the direction to whatever. So that will build confidence bit by bit. Let's say where jobs are concerned, if you don't make it through interviews, go for 100 interviews. And at the interviews, also make sure that you take feedback from people, like what is it that you're doing wrong? So that helps you improve. So it can be anything. Public speaking also, if you do the way I did, standing up there until you get so numb, you don't feel the fear anyway, you improve. For me, snakes was my fear. I went to as many snake farms as possible. I even adopted and kept a pet snake. If you check my Facebook, you will see 3 years ago, I kept a pet snake for, I think, literally a year. So that is how I improved. So this is what I would say you should do if you want to overcome fears. If you want to overcome fears, write down whatever the fear is. And every single day, make sure you do something in the direction of the fears. Whether it's rejection, whether it's being judged, whether it is not succeeding. Because if you sit in your comfort zone and just think about it, nothing's going to change. And this is what I told my client, my customer. And his eyes perked up. I'm pretty sure now he must be talking to a couple of girls every single day. So I hope this kind of gives you a solution to how to overcome fear. So if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Don't like it, give it a thumbs down. Put your comments down below because I always read them, good, bad, ugly. And this is me, Loy from Machedo.com. Who's Loy Machedo and Think Personal Branding? Signing off for now. Take care.